A strange birth took place in a farmer's barn. It was a 1 in 10,000 event, and when the farmer saw what it was, he screamed. But more than that, it set a series of events in motion that changed everything about his life. Ethan jolted awake in the dead of night. The barn outside was alive with strange noises. The cold night air stung his face, but he barely noticed. He reached the barn and pushed open the heavy doors. Inside, Emma, his prized mare, was in distress. She was sweating, and her eyes were wide with pain and fear. Ethan's gut twisted as he realized she was in labor. This wasn't supposed to happen for weeks. The noises, the timing, it was all wrong, and he hated that his favorite horse was going through such a scary ordeal with no professional by her side. Standing beside her, he felt a mix of fear and helplessness. She was in pain, and he didn't know how to ease it. He grabbed his phone and dialed Dr. Nicola Jarvis, the local vet. "Stay calm, Ethan," she said. "I'm not in town, but I'll be there as soon as I can. It will probably take a day or two. In the meantime, keep her comfortable. Talk to her, keep her calm. She knows what to do." Ethan put the phone down and turned back to Emma. "It's okay, girl," he whispered while stroking her neck. "You're going to be all right. Just breathe." Emma's breathing was more labored now. Ethan felt a surge of panic but pushed it down. He fetched clean towels and a bucket of warm water but didn't know what else to do. Emma's contractions grew more intense. He stayed by her side, wiped her sweat, and murmured words of encouragement. Just when he thought he couldn't bear it any longer, he saw the first signs of the foal. With a final powerful contraction, the foal emerged. He quickly wrapped the foal in a towel and rubbed it vigorously to stimulate its breathing. "Will," Ethan whispered. "Welcome to the world, little one. Your name is Will." His relief was short-lived. Emma was still restless. Then, to his utter shock, Ethan saw another pair of tiny hooves. He screamed loudly, unable to help himself. "No way, Emma, you're having twins?" He had heard of twin foals before, but they were incredibly rare and often didn't survive. The second birth was as arduous as the first. After what felt like an eternity, the second foal slid into the world. Ethan's hands trembled as he wrapped the tiny creature in another towel. This one was a filly, smaller and more delicate than her brother. "Grace," he breathed, his voice choked with emotion. "Your name is Grace because you're a miracle." Emma's successful delivery of Will and Grace was nothing short of a miracle. Ethan knew the statistics all too well. Dr. Nicola Jarvis arrived a day later. She had a calm, reassuring presence that immediately put Ethan at ease. She examined the twins thoroughly. "They're doing remarkably well," Nicola said. "They'll need round-the-clock care, especially in the first few weeks. Make sure they're nursing well and staying hydrated. I'll be here to help you every step of the way." Ethan followed Nicola's instructions to the letter. He became a tireless guardian. He ensured that Emma had ample food and water to produce enough milk for the twins. As the weeks passed, the foals grew stronger. They were beating the odds. Late one afternoon, Ethan noticed a figure approaching from a distance. Ethan stepped forward and blocked the entrance to the barn. He asked if he could help the stranger. The man removed his hat to reveal sharp features and piercing blue eyes. "I'm looking for Ethan," he said. "I have some information that might be of interest to you." Ethan narrowed his eyes. "You must understand, their birth is not just rare. It's extraordinary." Victor looked him straight in the eyes. "There are those who would go to great lengths to get their hands on such foals. People who see them as more than just animals but as a key to unlocking something greater." Ethan's heart pounded. Victor hesitated, then continued. "There is a group of elite horse breeders. They're obsessed with improving bloodlines and achieving perfection in their racehorse stock. They've been searching for foals like yours for years. They believe twins possess a unique genetic trait that could revolutionize horse breeding." Ethan's mind raced. Victor sighed. "I was once part of that world. I know what they're capable of. I'm telling you this because you need to be prepared. They will come for your foals, and they won't take no for an answer." Ethan watched Victor walk away until he disappeared into the twilight. He felt a knot of anxiety tighten in his stomach. Ethan's once peaceful farm was now a place of unease and suspicion. It started with small things: tools going missing, strange noises in the middle of the night, and the feeling of being watched. Ethan couldn't shake the sense that something was terribly wrong. One morning, he found his toolbox empty. He distinctly remembered placing it on the workbench the night before. His frustration grew when he noticed footprints in the mud near the barn. Footprints that weren't his. Then there were the noises. At first, they were barely audible, soft whispers of sound that could easily be dismissed as the wind. Thumps and rustling in the dark hours of the night kept Ethan on edge. He spent sleepless nights patrolling the barn, flashlight in hand, ready to confront whatever or whoever was causing the disturbances. One evening, while checking on the foals, he noticed something odd. Will was standing near the barn door, pawing at the ground. Ethan approached and saw a small, shiny object partially buried in the dirt. He picked it up. It was a tiny, high-tech listening device. His blood ran cold. The breeders, they were watching him, listening to him. Determined to protect his foals, Ethan took the device inside and smashed it with a hammer. He had to be more vigilant than ever. The breaking point came when he discovered a note pinned to the barn door. The message was simple yet chilling. "We're closer than you think." Ethan's hands trembled as he read it. The threat was real, and it was closing in. He knew he couldn't do it alone. He called Nicola and explained everything he had discovered. The vet was shocked but agreed to help. With Nicola's help, Ethan felt a glimmer of hope. They devised a plan to safeguard the foals and contacted the local authorities to report the intrusions and the strange happenings. Determined to uncover the truth, he began digging. It was a letter from Emma's previous owner, a renowned horse breeder named Charles Remington. The letter detailed her pedigree and mentioned a secret breeding program aimed at producing genetically superior horses. Ethan read with mounting horror as Remington described how the program had experimented with rare genetic markers, believing they held the key to producing the perfect racehorse. The letter ended with a cryptic warning. "If Emma ever gives birth to twins, know that they are the culmination of everything we have worked for." The vet's eyes widened as she read. "This explains a lot," she said. Ethan felt a mix of anger and fear. With Nicola's help, Ethan began fortifying the farm. They installed security cameras, reinforced the barn doors, and set up motion sensors around the property. They took turns keeping watch at night, ready to confront any intruders. They also contacted the authorities, hoping for additional protection. But as days turned into weeks, the tension mounted. Ethan felt a sense of frustration and helplessness. How could he protect his foals if he couldn't even catch the people trying to harm them? But then he remembered something. Victor's warning. He had said the breeders would go to great lengths to get their hands on the foals. If they were willing to trespass, what else would they do? He needed to be smarter, to think like they did. Ethan spent the next few days devising a plan. He reached out to contacts in the horse breeding community, hoping to find allies. He also contacted a lawyer to discuss legal options for protecting his animals. Finally, Ethan's efforts paid off. He received a call from an old friend, a retired horse trainer named Jack. Jack had connections in the racing world and knew about the secret breeding programs. He offered to help Ethan protect the foals. "They're valuable, Ethan," Jack said. "More valuable than you know. But they're also in danger. You need to get them out of there." Ethan was reluctant to leave his farm, but he knew Jack was right. The only way to protect Will and Grace was to move them to a safe location. With Nicola's help, he made arrangements to transport the foals to a secluded ranch owned by a trusted friend. The night of the move, Ethan felt a mixture of relief and anxiety. He led Emma, Will, and Grace into the trailer, making sure they were comfortable. Ethan breathed a sigh of relief as he unloaded the foals. The ranch was secluded and secure. For the first time in weeks, Ethan felt a sense of peace. But the peace was short-lived. Jack received a call from a contact in the racing world. The breeders had learned of the foals' location and were planning to make a move. Ethan's heart sank. They had done everything right, but it still wasn't enough. With Jack's help, Ethan devised a plan. They would set a trap for the breeders, luring them to the ranch where they could be caught in the act. The night of the trap, Ethan's nerves were on edge. He and Jack hid in the shadows, waiting. The hours ticked by, and just when Ethan thought the breeders wouldn't come, he heard footsteps. The figures emerged from the darkness, moving toward the barn. Ethan signaled to Jack, and they sprang into action. They moved quickly, surrounding the intruders. The breeders, caught off guard, tried to flee, but Jack and Ethan were ready. With a shout, they tackled the intruders to the ground. The police arrived moments later, taking the breeders into custody. Ethan watched as they were led away, a mix of relief and exhaustion washing over him. The ordeal had taken its toll, but the foals were safe, and the threat was finally over.